Hi, so I wanted to talk about a slightly different topic, in part because it's come up in some of the sword groups that I'm friends with, particularly with Caroline out of the Clopter Factors up in Pennsylvania, and that's breathing. It's a very different skill that we don't have a tendency to train, and I think there's a little bit of misinformation about it out there as well. For me, because of the fact that I have always done sort of very rhythmic physical activities, particularly dance. Um, Breathing out of rhythm and breathing disconnected from motion has always been something that's come naturally to me, as has stealing breath when I can get it as a musician. I was a bassoonist, and so breath control is very important. But breathing during martial arts can be a little bit different, I think. So much of the training and discussion around breathing in martial arts comes from high impact sports, I think, like boxing or MMA. And a lot of that is breathe with the action. And then a lot of people also take their breathing from lifting, where a lot of it is breathe with the action. For example, when I bench press, um, I will exhale when I bring the bar down, and then I will inhale when I bring the bar down, and then exhale hard when I push. And the general feeling behind that is that a strong exhale activates all your core muscles, and that is a sort of a quick and easy way to make sure you get that activation. And the same is often true in some of the way we talk about it in boxing. You have that quick every time you throw a punch or anything like that. I have two issues with that. The first is, I think sometimes for a lot of people, it makes you stumble if your action is interrupted, and losing your breath because you were fixated on it while you were doing a certain action and then not being able to complete that action can be very disorienting. Also, I find it can be somewhat limiting. And sometimes it can just be a bit odd because we can move and do more actions in a time frame that we wouldn't normally be breathing in. So for those of you who do longsword, running in and spherecoptering, you're going to hit 3 or 4 times in the space that you would normally breathe once. And so you can't have that super rapid, repeated exhale, start, stop kind of breathing. Or at least I don't think you should. I don't think it's helpful. One thing I think is that part of that is learning to control the musculature here without needing the breathing as a trick. And the other part is a little bit of just cardio conditioning. If you're out of breath, it doesn't really matter. And then lastly, I think a lot of us just don't train breath control. It's not something that we do often, and it's not something we train in the martial arts very often in a intentional way. So I wanted to give you my thoughts on how to train some of that sitting, breathing exercises you can do just hanging out, that you can do at your desk, that you can do while you're cooking your dinner. And then in a later video, I'll talk a little bit more about how we can train that in connection with sword fighting and that in motion. But if you don't have the control and you don't have the proprioception and that sort of kinesthetic feedback that's what you need, then moving that into martial arts just isn't effective. You need to learn how to have that control here, sedentarily, without all the background of martial arts before you can move it into the martial arts. So I'm going to take this off so you don't get Darth Vader breathing when I walk you through some of this. So I'm just doing this sitting. I'm just in a comfortable office chair. But I would suggest finding the edge of your chair so that you're forced to sit up straight. And then breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. If any of you are musicians or theater people, this should feel very normal. Also, this first exercise I'm going to walk you through is also something I use to help people come down from an adrenaline dump. This is true for a lot of fighters, that early on, that first real intense adrenaline hit can cause panic attacks. It can cause all sorts of negative reactions. And I find this a very good way to center yourself again after a fight. And you can do 1 or 2 breaths like this, even in between bouts, between exchanges in a tournament. And I think it helps us center ourselves again and fight from a controlled place, particularly if you're getting mad at getting hit or messing up technique or ref calls or whatever. So the trick is to start with a 3-second inhale coming from the diaphragm. Your shoulders shouldn't be moving. This is not a breath into the chest. It should feel like a breath into the belly. We'll inhale on 3 and exhale for 3, and then do 4, then do 5, then do 6, then do 7, and then come back down. So. And then you do the ladder the whole way down again. Now you can tell my breathing isn't as strong as it used to be. I used to be able to take this up to 30 seconds, inhale and exhale, back when I was an active bassoonist. I don't quite have that lung capacity anymore. So up and then down the ladder. And for a lot of people, that's often enough to get them to like be calm after an adrenaline dump. And if this is the first time you're doing this, do 3 and 4 and do up and down on that for a little while until you feel comfortable. If you're more advanced, then move up that ladder a little bit. There's no need to go from 3 to 7 and 7 to 3 the first time. Just relax and take it as far as you need to. And then really breathe here. And actively expel. So when you're breathing out over a controlled period of time, you need to release the whole breath, or the next one won't come in properly. If I were to do 4 seconds in with a really deep breath and then just explode it out, that leads to a loss of control of the musculature here often. So deep breath in, prolonged, controlled breath out to last the whole time, and you're not sputtering at the end. And I think that helps a lot of people. So in summary, breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth, 3 seconds in each direction, up to 7 seconds in each direction. And get that control and build up that proprioception and understanding of how your breath system works, and then you can move that into martial arts at another time. I hope that helps some people.